But yeah, man, it's definitely been interesting times. Just everything's been interesting this year, especially, right? With
Yeah, yeah,
2020. Where
absolutely.
you guys been getting a lot of guests and stuff, obviously throughout the pandemic and
Yeah.
stuff too. So like, what you guys are seeing in people, like, those that are able to maintain and kind of grow through these
Hmm.
times, and then I'm sure there's some people who are, looking at it from the other side of like this is the worst time ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is like that's the reality, but
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of growth within this time. Certainly has been, in my personal life. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because it's something we kind of always ask people, and it's really interesting, especially to hear someone who kind of made something of it, such as yourself, where you kind of started something either.
hmm
And there's a few people who have started something because of it,
yeah,
like they had so much free time or
hmm
whatever, and they're
hmm
like, all right, I'm gonna do X project.
yeah,
But yeah, I think I don't know, everyone handles it differently, but I think everyone, well, it's almost a bit of confirmation bias, where
mm.
if you're gonna be someone who's coming on a podcast because you're obviously promoting something, you're a little more of an outgoing person. You're probably doing okay from the
From the
pandemic, I
pandemic.
guess,
Yeah,
right? So I
fair.
guess
Okay.
there's a bit of a maybe a blind spot or bias or whatever there
Yeah,
you want
yeah,
to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
But no, I think a lot of people were the overarching theme is a little bit of like it really sucked at the start. It's a little depressing. And then people are like, well, I guess I'm going to do something with this, right? And
Mm.
especially more like creative types, like just more time to kind of be a maybe a purist in your craft or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then also people realizing um, just the boundaries of normal 9 to 5 society are
Mm.
something we all agree on. It's not like a law of nature, right? So you
Mm.
don't really need to operate within that by any means.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think more and
It's
more people are getting away from that.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess it did open up like,
Hmm.
hey, you could just stay home and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life, right?
Well, I think people also realize like it's gonna end at some point. So I
Yeah,
mean, life does go on. So I
yeah,
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
could
yeah.
either take these 6 months or whatever and do something with them, or
Yeah,
get fat and
yeah.
watch
Not,
Netflix all day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
There's definitely been, yeah, right. On that end, there's a lot of people who looked at it that way, right?
Hmm.
hmm
And that doesn't mean like people who on the other side did make something out of it, they didn't go
Yeah.
through tough time.
yeah,
I think everybody goes through it, right? Because nobody's been through 2020
That's exactly it.
before. So it's like for everybody, it was a challenge.
Hmm.
And personally speaking, that was the same thing. All right, when it started, I had this mentality of like, no matter what, I'm gonna just focus on me and like really, take this time to grow.
Hmm.
And then month went by, 2 months went by, and then it started becoming depressing because it was just like everything was, closed, and there was no hope or sign of like things ever
Some
going back to
semblance of, yeah.
normal. Yeah.
hmm
So going through that, it did get me down. Right. I had a couple months of where it was just like really dark,
Hmm.
and then I just I knew that sooner or later I needed to get out of it because I put a lot of pressure on myself, and not pressure, I guess the wrong term, but I put a lot of like onus on myself that I need to like show up for other people.
right,
Right. So on my page, that's what I like doing, right? That
Yeah.
gives me purpose, right? So um I knew that I couldn't stay in that spot for too long, so I needed to like move past that somehow. And I always have this voice in my head that's like chipping away at me like, hey, get your shit together, man.
yeah,
Stop being lazy. And I'm very glad I have that because if I didn't, right, it would be hard for me to get out of some places. But because of that voice, I just knew I needed to bounce back. So going back to the point of like people who move past it and people who are coming out of it on the wrong end,
hmm
we all kind of went through something to like battle it, right? So definitely shout out to credit to all the people that are looking at it in a positive way, and understanding that because of this year we got to disrupt our patterns of what we were so comfortable with. We got to get out of our comfort zone because now we're doing everything differently. So if you look at it from that perspective, it just makes you realize that I could do so much internal work because there's this like shift happening, right, from what I used to do, what I'm known
yeah,
as, to now what I'm doing and where I'm going. So it's like